Hello, listeners. I'm your host, Priyadarshini Singh, and welcome back to episode 2 of The New Default, the podcast that talks to you about the new normal in our society, how it starts off as simple as a choice, then becomes an expectation, and eventually leads up to being a routine. We are journalism students from the University of Toronto, Scarborough, and Centennial College. And in each episode, we take one ordinary behavior or circumstance that people recognize instantly and trace how it has become standardized, what is asked or expected from us, and the consequences it creates. And we explore possible alternatives to conforming to these new normals. In our last episode, we discussed tipping culture and how that has shifted being a gesture to an expectation. Today, we'll be shifting gears from talking about something personal that has become blatantly public, which is doom scrolling and constant focus on our phones, a word first coined in 2020 and is now in English dictionaries. For those who may not know what this word means, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, doom scrolling is the action of constantly scrolling through and reading depressing or negative news on social media or news sites, often on a smartphone, leading to feelings of anxiety or despair. This is a behavior that has become highly recognizable and ingrained within our daily habits to the point of taking over our lives. Think about it. Do you find yourself doom scrolling before you even get out of bed or late at night, while commuting on public transit, while waiting in line for your latte, or to take a break from another task that requires longer focus, like writing a paper for school? We're all scrolling down the rabbit hole of doom, down the endless stream of videos, headlines, news, and updates, most of which are often pessimistic, heavy, overwhelming, and downright depressing. What started off as a way of being enlightened led to being hooked. And that's on purpose. Tech companies are using algorithms to control our attention. For example, at the time of this recording, Meta and YouTube were charged with paying millions of dollars in damages to a 20-year-old female in California when the jury found them liable for a lack of concern for their well being after finding the social media platforms were known to cause addiction issues to adolescents. News updates are refreshed every minute of every day. Algorithms are generated depending on our content and our engagement preferences, as well as what retains our attention. Without knowing and realizing it, people come to find themselves consuming more and more of social media. Not necessarily by choice, but because it has become a must in their daily lives, and not necessarily making us smarter and more informed. So let's look into this habit, how it has shifted to active from passive and is persistent and fully integrated into the rhythm of daily life. We will also pose our big question: how do people learn to navigate through the new normal, and what happens when we try to resist it? Joining us today is Rushk, a third year student at the University of Ottawa, who is going to talk to us about her experience on doom scrolling, how it has become a part of her daily routine, and the impact it has on her emotionally and mentally. So, Rush, thank you for sitting down with me today.
Of course.
How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm doing good. I'm a little nervous.
So, the first question I have for you today is to tell me about your daily social media use. So, like, how long do you spend on social media on average, like each day?
I would say I spend each day at least like a couple of hours. It can be anywhere from like, I want to say 4 hours to up to like 8-ish. Depending on the day, it's a lot. It's definitely increased.
When did you notice that your daily social media use had become doom scrolling and it had become such an addictive habit?
I think I definitely realized around COVID time, especially during the pandemic when we didn't have much socialization outside with other people. I think back then the term doom scrolling wasn't really coined yet, so you couldn't call it that, but I think I definitely noticed my use of social media and like being on my phone increased at that time.
So, my other question for you is which platform or platforms do you scroll on the most, and what type of content do you consume or like attracts you the most?
So I would say my top social medias that I use the most is definitely I scroll on TikTok a lot and then Instagram as well. And then as far as the topics go, a lot of it is I feel like for Instagram is mostly like used to socialize with other people. So keeping up with my friends, keeping up with kind of what they're doing, whatever people are posting like in their daily lives. And then for TikTok, it's mostly like um like lifestyle stuff, and like for me kind of some beauty things, like I like to do my makeup and do stuff like that, and then a lot of comedy videos as well, like sketches and stuff, sometimes recipes, so stuff like that, mostly lifestyle based.
And can you recall what your scrolling or social media habits were like 3 to 5 years ago compared to now, and how has it changed?
Yeah. So I think before it was definitely like it felt like social media was more, or scrolling was more of like, it didn't feel as addictive. It would be like I'm spending time on my phone, I'm going, I'm scrolling a little bit. Okay, I'm kind of done. Like I've browsed all my friends' stories, I know what everyone's doing, like we're good with that. And then once you're kind of updated on that, scrolling a little bit, like watching some videos, and then after that you kind of just put your phone away. Like it didn't feel like addictive, or like I'm doing it a lot, or like most of my day is spent, like it didn't feel like that at all. So I think that's definitely one of the biggest changes that has happened. It's definitely increased a lot.
While doom scrolling, what are the feelings that go through your mind, and then how does it make you feel?
So I think sometimes, obviously, it starts off like you see those videos. Some of them are pretty, like I usually like watching funny videos. Some of them make you feel good. Sometimes you learn things. But then I think as kind of time goes on, you get to a point where you feel like you're just mindlessly doom scrolling. And then it's like you're not really aware of everything you're consuming, but then your brain kind of just feels a little bit overwhelmed because you're just watching. I think especially on a platform like TikTok where the video is super short and you just scroll past it, it's like you see so much and you're not even aware. And it's like just a bunch of different topics. Like sometimes it's like crazy news of like what's happening in the world, or like just learning about other people. Like it's just very like vast, like opposite ends of kind of the spectrum of like a bunch of different things. So it feels very like overwhelming sometimes, like once you're kind of off your phone and you're like, wait, like you kind of take a second to be like, wait, like what type of content did I consume just now? Like what am I seeing? Like what did I just see on my phone? There's so many things you can't even recall sometimes, honestly.
My next question for you is how do you know when you've reached a point of spending too much time doom scrolling, and like when do you realize like, okay, I need to stop, and like I need to put on my phone for a bit and do something else?
I think definitely like some some days, if a day kind of starts off where like I wake up and I immediately check my phone and I go on social media, that's when I'm kind of like, okay, this is a day where I need to maybe slow down, like do something else, get outside a little bit. So it's always stuff like that. Or if I feel like I haven't really interacted with anybody, or like maybe like talk to, if I'm just been on my phone and I haven't talked to my family, like that's kind of a reminder that you're like, oh wait. And I think a lot of it, especially because of those like short form content videos on TikTok, because they're so quick, I find my patience running short as well. So I think especially sometimes when I'm having a day where I have like low patience, or if I'm easily like irritable, or if I'm getting angry, that's when I'm like, okay, have I gone off my phone today? Like have I paid attention to myself today? Have I gone outside or talked to somebody else? That's when I'm kind of like, okay, I need to take a break.
And have you ever tried to cut back on your doom scrolling habits?
I definitely have tried to cut back on my doom scrolling habits. One of the things I do right now is I've had like screen time limits on my phone for each app. So I try to set it so it's like 2 hours for Instagram and TikTok. It doesn't always work because it has like that notification it gives you, and then you can click like, oh, ignore for an hour or whatever. But I have those set on my phone, and I definitely try to just, especially I think making sure I have a routine for the day and then trying to stick for that. I think that helps me definitely get off my phone and limit that doom scrolling.
Right. Do you think doom scrolling is something that a lot of people talk about openly, like especially nowadays, or is it more like a guilty pleasure or a quiet habit that everyone else shares, or like secretly do, but like it's not really spoken about as much?
I think I would maybe call it a guilty pleasure of sort, but it's still like very, like it's not the guilty pleasure where it's like quiet. Like I think everyone nowadays is very aware of their time on social media, and it's like you talk to your friends. Like I don't know about you, but like me and my friends have conversations all the time about like, I've been spending too much time on my phone. Like how can I get off my phone? What are some hobbies? Like what can I do? Maybe we should hang out. Like what's something we can do besides being on our phone? So I think it's good that the conversation is very common and it's very public and people are having it a lot. But I think it's sometimes seen as like a joke, and it's mostly like brushed off. Like it's like, oh haha, just spent the whole day scrolling on my phone, like teehee, like I don't care about this. Where like I feel like it should be taken a bit more seriously. And like I'm guilty of that myself. Like I definitely sometimes I'm like, oh haha, who cares? But I think it's something we should be paying more attention to, and it should be taken a bit more seriously.
During your doom scrolling sessions, do you feel like you are in control of what you're doing and the amount of time spent behind doing it, or do you feel like it's the opposite in the sense that it controls you and your time?
I think I mentioned it before to answering some question, but it does nowadays mostly feel like you're kind of, or at least for me, like I'm kind of being controlled, and I'm just scrolling on my phone endlessly. Like it starts as like, oh, maybe I want a distraction. Like, oh, I'm done my homework. I finished my assignment. I'm not busy today. Let me scroll on my phone a little bit, look at what's going on in the world. Because definitely like social media is a good tool to like keeping up with other people that are further from you and like the rest of the world. But it sometimes just feels like you almost go into like this autopilot mode where you're just like scrolling, and it's like, oh, I have nothing better to do, so I'm just like, I keep scrolling and I keep like watching these videos, because it's like, what else am I gonna do in the day? So it's unfortunately shifted into like this weird, you go on autopilot. But yeah,
If you can redesign your relationship with social media and when it comes to doom scrolling, how would you do that? And then also, what advice would you give to our listeners as well who are going through this?
yeah, so definitely if I were to redesign my relationship with social media, doom scrolling my phone, definitely spending less time on it and kind of like living life a little bit more. It's just also like reminding yourself that you don't always, I think with all this fast paced like content, and then having access to like so many different parts of the world, it feels like sometimes if you're not up to date with social media, like you're missing out. And then especially nowadays, even when you're socializing with like your friends at school, it's like you're talking about like videos that you've seen on, like everyone is like, hey, did you see this? Did you see this on the news? Did you see this video? It's like sometimes even when you're not scrolling, like you kind of have that feeling of like, oh, I'm being left out because I don't know about this joke, or I don't know about this reference, or I don't know about this video. But like truly, I think one thing we should maybe come to realize is that it's not that serious. Like we're not, like no matter how much content you consume, you're always going to be missing out on something else, so you can't like expect to know everything. And then that's just like something I remind myself, like it's okay if I don't, like if I'm not updated on everything that's happening right now, or everything that my friends are doing, or like it's not that serious. Like we become so used to like the instant, not gratification, but I don't know, just like instantly knowing everything. It's like, oh, I wonder what my friend is up to, let me check the location, let me do this, or let me see what she's doing on social media. It's like you don't need to know everything, and honestly it's probably better if you don't. So I think, yeah, definitely limiting screen time is very important. Try to find ways that work for you. Try to go outside, focus, spend time on your hobbies, like spend time hanging out with your friends in person. Like, why talk over the phone if you can hang out in person? So I definitely would hope to, it's always a goal of mine to spend less time on social media, less time doom scrolling, maybe spend a little more time like on myself or for my hobbies.
That was a lovely chat with you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to our listeners for tuning into the new default. And stick around for our next episode 3, where we will discuss having multiple jobs to sustain living in this economy. And this has been the new default.